Hi there. We got this same bike and we're going to work on brakes. You got to have brakes. Don't mess around with bikes, don't ride bikes without brakes. You got to have brakes that work, that stop you. This one has both hand brakes. It doesn't have the back brake, the pedal brake. It's got a hand grip. However, this bike doesn't have this one. So that's easy to fix. You need a cable, and the cable has to have this drum-like end. That's for a brake. On gear bikes, it's got a different kind of end here. But this one has like a little drum on the end. And you've got to have a housing. If you've got a cable, it doesn't work. It doesn't really work. You would have to have it right straight through there, and that doesn't work. So the housing allows the wire to have tension even though it's bent. This bike was made to be a trick bike, where you could just spin the front all around. However, for some reason, it's been adapted. And that's the thing about working on bikes. You can adapt them different ways. You can rearrange things sometimes. But we're just going to put a regular brake on. We're not going to put the trick brake on because the back isn't made for the trick bike either, to be able to turn the handlebars around. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is put in the cable. And it has to go on the handle here. There's a channel here, and this is an adapter up here. This is a fine-tuning adapter. And it's got the little ruts all along in here, little channel all along here that goes out to the handle here. So I'm going to put this. There's an indentation over here where this is going to go in. There seems to be something in there already, and I'm going to have to get that out first from the last one. It must have broken off in there. I'm going to turn this off while I dig that out. Right, I found the problem. The last brake that was in here, the cable broke off. There. Take out this part. That's the old brake that was in there. Yeah. All right, so now we take the drum, put it in that opening, bring this along the channel, and along this channel. Once it's in there, then we turn this. Having a hard time turning that. I'm not sure why. Sometimes you just run into these problems. Whoops. So it has to go into these channels. And it looks like it's going in. There. Okay, I'm turning it so that the cable doesn't fall out of all those channels right now. All right. So that's good. Now we take the housing And I cut this one ahead of time. Well, I found this piece. Oh, normally the housing is going to be much longer, and you need to cut it to size. You need a little play up on top here. It's going to come down. There's a little tube here that it's going to go in, and then this one has to go in from the bottom. Sometimes they go in from the top. You got to just look and see. Again, it can be adapted. So this one's going to go in that hole on the bottom, and it's going to go up there, but we're going to leave it like this for right now. We're going to take the cable and put it in the hole here until it goes all the way out. That's good. And now it needs to go all the way up inside of this little piece here. You have to have this little piece. As I said, that's a fine adjusting apparatus there. Okay, it goes in there. And you need a little play up here. You can't be just straight down. Now this end of the cable, since this is the longest part, it's going to go in from the bottom. And again, you don't take any nuts and bolts off if you can avoid it. This one has a little hole in it here. That's where this is going to go. In that hole. There we go. Now we pull it until that goes into it there. We're going to bring this up a little more. So far, so good. The handle's down. Now, you got to have a couple more tools. 2 more tools today. A cable cutter, not a wire cutter. A wire cutter will take these cables and smash them at the end, and then they won't fit through little holes like this, and it won't fit through the housing. So you have to have a cable cutters, and it's kind of curved on the inside here. Specialized for bikes. Oh yeah. And also metric wrench here. You remember yesterday we did a 15. Usually on these kinds of things it's a 9 or a 10. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be a 10. You can use a regular wrench, box end wrench like this. Let's see. Yep, this is a 10. They make these specially for bikes though. 3 sizes. 8, 9, and 10. Those are the most common. 8, 9, and 10 for small nuts. 15, 17, maybe 13 and 14 for the bigger nuts. All right. We've got this through. We've got the housing in place. Now, I'm going to take and I'm going to hold the brake pads. Oh, I checked the pads first. These are nice looking pads. They're not too worn. They've got a lot of rubber on them yet. You want them close though, because when you press this handle, you don't want the handle to hit your hand up here. You want it to hit the brake when it's maybe about this right here, this distance. You don't want to be hitting the handle up here. All right. So this is inside. This one's inside. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to hold it closed. I'm going to take the wrench here, the 10 side, and just tighten it. Nice and tight. Well, that's really loose yet. So I'm going to loosen it. Now I'm going to pull it again. I'm going to make sure that this is inside this sleeve down here. There it is. Now I'm going to pull it again. Okay, now I'm going to take the 10, tighten it up. Keeps coming loose. I'm going to try it again. Pull it tight. Get it inside the sleeve. Okay, now I'm going to have to hold it tight here. See if this will work. Oh, I see what's happening. There. Trying it again. That seems to have worked that time. I think that's a robocall. All right, let's see if that's working. All right, it's coming all the way up to the handle here. But see, when I do that, it tightens these inside the sleeves here. So now I just have to redo it again. It's not a big deal. Not a lot of extra work, but just needs to be done. Sometimes, once you tighten this cable, it gets stuck a little bit, so you need to loosen it up. There we go. Get it in the sleeve, pull it up, pull the brakes together. Keeps sliding out there. This would help to have an extra hand here. But we'll do it. In fact, they do have a tool, another tool called a third hand. And it's a clamp that you put on the brakes here, and it holds it in place. So then you've got two hands. You don't have to be holding one hand down here. That's your third hand. All right, this is in place. This is pretty much in place. Let's see. All right. Now I'm going to make sure it's nice and tight. With these kind of screws, they're small enough where if you turn them too hard, you'll break the screw. So you don't want to make it too hard. Now, we've got to make sure it's not too tight. So we lift up the bike. We just turn the wheel. Whoa! That's going nice and smooth. So we've got that fixed. But now, we've got this much left. So we can do a couple things. They do make little ends that you can put on and crimp on. Or you can cut this long enough and just tuck it in. I cut it a little bit too long. I'll make it a little shorter here. There. All right, so we've got the front brake. The back brake was on, but let's check it. The pads are looking good. Okay, the back brake. It's doing well. Yep, that is pretty good. And the fact that it was a trick bike, it still could be done. It just needs a special cable here for the front brake and the back brakes too. So we are not going to do that. They've got the cable tucked in here with electrical tape, both here and here, and that's okay. There are special clamps, or you can use electrical tape for that also. And while we're at it, we've got the seat here, and that is an adjustment with an Allen wrench. I didn't bring the Allen wrenches. We'll use Allen wrenches another time. But for right now, the brakes are fixed and ready to go. All right. Oh, and by the way, I did put these, I can't think of the name right now, these things back on. Just screwed them on again. All right, thanks. Next time, let's see. Oh, we might do shifters and derailleurs. Oh, isn't that a good name? Derailleurs and shifters. All right. We finished up yesterday, and I thought we were all done with brakes. But then last night, I remembered I didn't tell you about the brake pads and the different kinds of brakes. So I hope you can see here, we've got the front brakes, the pads, a front reflector, but then here's the tubes on the brakes. This is called a center pull brake. And the good thing about this is if you squeeze it together, you can pull a one wire out, and then you can take off the wheel easily. And this is called a quick release here. It's a lever, and you just spin it a little bit. You don't have to have a wrench. You just take it off. So that's nice for when you have to fix it or when you load it in your car. The bad thing is it's easy to steal. So sometimes if you're in an urban area or a place where there's possibility of something being stolen, it's good to have a lock that goes around the wheels and the frame and something else. Then you put it back on, you tighten this up, click it, pull these things together, and there you're set to go. Some of the brakes, okay, so this is a center pull, and I'm going to move this out of the way and get a different bike. Now this is cantilever again, but this one has a quick release on the brake also. And so you squeeze the brake levers together, and then you pull and it releases it. So again, you don't have to undo the brakes or loosen up the cable or anything like that. And then you put it back together again. You squeeze it together and make sure this point goes in the opening here. That's good. Now, I got to show you something else on this. The brake pads. And I've got some different kinds of brake pads here. This kind of brake has something like this. And it's curved a little bit. So you put that on with the curve to follow the curve of the wheel. And the rim. You want the rubber to go exactly on the rim. You don't want to touch the rubber Because if when you put the brake on, if it's hitting the tire, it's going to stop you faster, but it's going to give you a blowout. It's going to wear out your tire. So you want it to hit the rim. And you follow this. This one, well, for this one, you could use a 10 wrench, a regular little box end wrench, or one of these triangular wrenches. Again, metric though. It's got to be a metric 10. The one on here, here's another tool for you, an Allen wrench. This is what an Allen wrench is. 6-sided, just a straight or curved like this. But again, Allen wrenches are standard and metric. It's got to be metric. It fits in there. Whoop, that one's too big. It fits in. You loosen it up. You loosen the brake itself. And then you replace the pad. So the pads do wear out, just like brakes on a car. If it starts getting too low, too worn, it'll start hitting metal. There's metal inside here. And you don't want that. You want good brakes. You want a helmet on and you want good brakes. So why am I telling you all this right now in November? Because now is a good time to fix a bike up. You can buy parts, or you can get a hold of me, and we've got lots of used parts and lots of other accessories available. So you could give me a call. Okay, so either a 10, let's see if that's a 10. Sometimes I get 9s and 10s mixed up. Yep, that's a 10. All right, so we've got the quick release. We've got the cantilever brake. Now, we got one more kind of brake here. Well, actually 2 more. All right, I'm going to move this bike out of the way. Okay, this one has a disc brake. That's come in kind of recently, I guess. I don't know how recently, but I'm going to move it over here. It's a whole different kind of brake. The brake clamps onto here, and it's a whole apparatus down here. The cable and the housing still is the same kind of thing. There's a mechanism here, and I'm going to turn the bike around. This probably doesn't show up real well. I'm going to just move the camera here a little bit. Again, to adjust this one, you need the Allen wrench again. So it's probably about this size. So you have to, there's a circle here, and in the middle of the circle is an Allen wrench opening. So the Allen wrench fits in there, and if it's too loose, you can tighten it just a little bit, and then that helps you have a good stopping so that your handle doesn't hit the handle up here. The handle of the brake doesn't hit the handlebar. I don't see too many of these yet. But they do come in, and that's how you adjust it. Let's see. most of the pads are going to be a small kind of thing like this. And these are straight this way, but they're curved. So again, when you put these on, you put them on so that the larger part is near the bottom. I don't know if that makes sense, but you want it to go up against the rim again. And then this is usually got a nut, so a 9 or a 10 on there. And you got to watch these. Some of them have an opening at one end, and you don't want the opening to be toward the front because then that'll push it out. Here's another kind of brake pad. There's no threading, and there's nothing that screws on here. So this just fits into a socket, and then there's a screw or a nut that you have to loosen or tighten to get this on. But it's pretty much the same idea. The last brake I want to show you, I talked about a brake arm on that first bike we were working on, where you pedal backwards and then that stops the wheel. It's not a handbrake at all, it's a pedal brake. Well, this is the arm right here. And this has to be clamped on. This allows your pedal to work, and the hub on the back wheel is much bigger than the hub and the axle on some of the other bikes, the handbrake bikes. The mechanism inside is quite complicated, complex, and that allows for the expansion and the braking power. We're not going to talk about that. That's usually I don't have to fix the insides of the brake because they're usually enclosed, obviously, and they don't get water in them most of the time, and usually they don't break. It can be done, it's just very complicated, and a lot of pieces have to go in the right order in there. It's like a real challenge and a puzzle, but we're not going to cover that. All right, I think that's it for the brakes. Now, next time, we'll talk about the derailleurs and the gears. Okay, thanks.